What's up, guys? Hugs, not drugs. So this video is going to be about sleeping in cars. I prefer to sleep in a bed. So this is the story. I was in Portland, Maine. I had just gotten out of the juvenile facility where I went to juvenile hall, and I had been in placement, which is like a group home. Yeah, it was a group home. It was like 150 people, but I had just gotten out of the group home. They transferred me to Maine to go live with my dad. And at the time, my dad was drinking heavily. Like, he worked at Walmart. I think he worked the night shift at this point. He still works the night shift, but I believe he was working the night shift then. But so he works the night shift. He gets off work and he just starts drinking. Keeps drinking continuously, and then he'll eat his dinner, and then after he eats his dinner, he just falls asleep. Well, usually smokes about a half a pack of cigarettes to a full pack, and then falls asleep. Then wakes up, smokes more cigarettes, and goes back to sleep. Then I'll wake up again for a small, maybe 20 minutes, smoke more cigarettes, go back to sleep, and then he wakes up and goes to work. Anyways, so my dad was married to my stepmother at this time. They had a very terrible relationship. Like, there was no love. They hated each other. They couldn't even be in the same room as each other. It was the worst relationship I've ever seen. I have no idea how they even got together. My dad would go to the bar and play the harmonica, and then she would go there and drink beer, and that's how they met. But anyways, so I'm with Ken, and me and Ken are somewhere. I don't remember where we're at. I don't know what. Oh, I think this is the case. So we had to get to Ken's house, but we were in Portland, and we only had a certain amount of money. So what we told the taxi is, I think we had, I don't know, $10. We told the taxi, hey, just bring us as far as $10 will get us, and that'll be close to my house, and then we'll go to my house, and then we'll, I don't know, get money from my dad or figure out a ride from my house, and then we'll get over to Ken's house. But the goal was to get to Ken's house, which was on the other side of South Portland. About a 10-minute drive, about an hour's walk. But it was cold. This was wintertime. It was cold. There's snow on the ground. Like I said, I don't remember where me and Ken were. I just remember that we took a taxi, and I had on a shirt and then a sweatshirt over that, and I was wearing jeans. I had boots. I don't think I had gloves. I think I just had a sweatshirt. So the plan was just to get dropped off at my house and then, go inside and figure things out. Well, my stepmother did not like me. She hated me. I made another video about how she had stolen my dad's ring and then framed it on me and my friend, and then convinced my dad that I had stolen his ring somehow. But really, she miraculously went to a pawn shop and recovered the ring and brought it back, and she was the hero. But she had blamed it on me, and it was a big deal. My dad wanted to kick me out of the house at 16 and send me back to California because of this whole stolen ring thing, which I would have never stolen the ring from him. But it was a big deal, and he wanted me out for it. And so just imagine being accused of stealing your dad's ring and knowing you didn't take it, but he's convinced you did. And the stepmother obviously knows you didn't take it, but she's on your dad's side, pressing the issue, you stole this ring. And so it was a really rough period in my life as a child, just being confused, just not knowing really what to do, whether to fight or whether to cry or to run away. I didn't know what to do. But anyways, I don't remember if this was before the ring situation or after the ring situation. I think it was before. So we get in the taxi, we get dropped off, and we live in this shoe shop on the 3rd floor. And to get in the shoe shop, you got to go in one door, walk up the stairs, go in another door, and then you go up the stairs again. That's how you got to our apartment. Well, sometimes the bottom door, usually it was open, but when everybody was sleeping, they would deadbolt the bottom door, and I didn't have a key. And usually, if I didn't have a key, it had like plexiglass window. So if I didn't have a key, I would just go to the window and just boom, 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 boom. It would make such a it was like a drum, you know, the plexiglass and like a bass drum. So if you banged on it, it was like playing the drums, like it would shake the whole house. So it was pretty easy, like, to just get somebody's attention. Just boom, 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 boom. They hear it, they walk down, they unlock the door. So me and Ken get there, and Ken's got a jacket on. He's got a short sleeve shirt on. He's got a winter jacket over that. And we get dropped off, and the taxi leaves, and we go over, and I'm just like, oh man, the door's dead bolted. And by the time I just get from getting out of the taxi, going to the door, I'm already like starting to freeze to death. Like, it's so cold. And all I'm wearing is a sweatshirt. Like the sweatshirt I'm wearing now. And if you don't know anything about cold weather, and you lived in Maine or anywhere cold, you would know that, like, yeah, in California, this will keep you warm. But in a state like Maine, where it's 10 degrees out, this doesn't help at all. There's no... the cold just busts right through this. There's no staying warm. So I start banging on the door, and nobody's answering. And I'm just, I can't sit there and bang anymore. I'm just so cold. I don't really know any of the neighbors. I don't have anybody's house I can like knock on, and this is before cell phones, or people had cell phones. It was very rare. Not many people had a cell phone at this point. So me and Ken definitely didn't have a cell phone. And so, like, we tried banging, and nobody's coming down. Now, I know at this point, my dad is probably drunk and passed out. And when he's passed out, when he's drunk, he's not waking up. Doesn't matter. You could burn the house down. He's not going to wake up. He will not wake up for anything. So I counted him out. I knew for sure, like, my dad wouldn't wake up no matter how hard I banged. But my stepmother, like, I knew she heard it. So, like, I'm banging, and I know she knows that I'm down there, but she's not answering. My stepmother also would fall asleep, and whenever she fell asleep, she would leave the TV on, and it was usually cartoons, because my little sister would watch cartoons. But when she'd leave the TV on, it would be at full blast. So I knew that with me banging, she's got that TV on full blast. She may not even hear it, because she was, she drank a lot too. She drank coffee brandy and milk. So me and Ken are out there, and we don't know what to do. And so I go to my stepmother's car, and I try opening up the doors to see if maybe there's like a blanket in the car, and the door's locked. I'm just like, oh, and I just start going and trying all the cars in the parking lot, and my dad's car was actually open. And so I go in, I look for blankets, there's no blankets. And so me and Ken just get in there, and we just, I kind of just, just trying to like stay warm. And being in the car didn't even matter. It was so cold. It maybe turned it from like 10 degrees to like 20 degrees. It didn't help at all. And all I'm doing, and Ken is also very, very cold. Ken's freezing, but Ken has a winter down jacket on. And Ken's cold, but he's not as cold as me. But he is cold, because that jacket was not doing much for him. Because we didn't prepare to be out in the cold. So, but yeah, Ken doesn't have it as bad as me. So we're freezing, and all I'm doing is just staring at the door. Because my stepmother a lot of times would come out and like have a cigarette, or they would take multiple trips to the store. Lots of scratch tickets, lots of sodas, lots of chip runs, cigarette runs, tons and tons of cigarette runs. And my stepmother was always going places. So I knew there was a chance that she might come out. And so I'm just sitting there so cold, hoping that she comes out. And she finally does. I don't remember how long. It's probably like about an hour, maybe longer. But she ends up coming out, and I race, and I'm like, why didn't you open up the door? And she was actually in a good mood. She's like, oh, I didn't hear you. And like, I don't think she heard me. I don't think she was like doing it on purpose. Maybe she was, but I don't think she was. But yeah, so me and Ken like rush inside, and she didn't even like Ken. She didn't want him there, or actually no, I think this is the point where Ken was allowed to be there. Then she ended up kicking Ken out. But so me and Ken just go in, and you know, we figure things out, and I get warm, and then we leave. All right. So there's sleeping in a car part one, where I didn't really sleep, but you know what I'm talking about. So that was when I was 16. Now here I am. I'm 21, and I'm in Palm Desert, living in 29 Palms, but working, because 29 Palms, there's nothing there. There's nowhere to work. So to work, I had to work in Palm Desert, Palm Springs area. So I'm working in Palm Desert at Islands. My mother works also in Palm Desert, about 5 minutes from where I work, and she works a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So what I usually do is me and my mom wake up in the morning, we leave at like 7, and we drive from 29. It's a long drive, usually about an hour and 20 minutes. So we drive all the way from 29 Palms down to Palm Desert, and it was nice. I used to like riding with my mom. You know, those were good times. Like, I never held a grudge against my mom for anything. I was a bad kid. I don't hold any grudges towards my mom about anything. But yeah, me and my mom had some good rides. You know, just driving through the desert, going through Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. Just the desert, nothing there. Anyways, so we would drive down, and she would drop me off at the gym. The gym was on the way. Like, everything I did was like set up around like my mom's schedule. So my work schedule was set up around my mom's schedule. My gym membership was set around, you know. So anyways, we'd go down. She would drop me off at the gym, the Palm Desert Athletic Club. She would go to work. I would work out, because I didn't start work till like 10 or 11. She started work early. I'd work out for about an hour. I'd walk out to catch the bus. The bus would drop me off at work, or I would catch it to the mall. I'd walk around the mall, because the mall was right across the street from work. And then I'd go into Islands, and I'd start working. Well, there's this place called the Spa Resort Casino. And the Spa Resort Casino, that's kind of like where my gambling obsession took off, because I would make tips. I would go to the Spa Resort Casino, I'd play blackjack, and lose all my money. Now, my mom would get off of work at 5, so I had a window between like 5 and 6 to get picked up by my mom. And so usually she'd pick me up around my work area, but a lot of times I'd get out of work early, like around 3, and then I'd catch the bus over to the Spa Resort Casino, and then she'd pick me up over in that area. She never knew that I was at the casino. I'd always hide it from her. So I'd go to the casino, and usually I'd lose. She'd pick me up. We'd go. But the times that I would win, I would tell her that I'd say, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to spend the night at Ernie's house," and then I'd say, "Hey, let's just meet up the next day," and that's what we would do. Well, I remember I was up at the casino. I don't know, like a few $100, $500-600, and I'm winning, and it's like 10, 11, and then I end up losing all my money. So like by midnight, I'm flat broke. I mean, when I say flat broke, I'm saying like I don't have $2 for a beer, because if I did have $2 for a beer, I would stay in the casino and I would just drink beer and hang out there, because it was open 24 hours. They did stop serving at like, I think like 3 in the morning. 2 in the morning, they would do last call. But yeah, and so I would drink beer, but I had lost all my money, and this was a regular occurrence. I would always lose my money, always, never won. And so all my money's gone, and I have to work the next day at Islands. But like I'm stuck. Like I don't know what to do. And in the desert, it gets very, very cold at night. Not as cold as Maine, but it gets cold. And I was not prepared for the cold. I didn't have a sweatshirt. I had my work uniform, no sweatshirt. I think I had a change of clothes. I might not even have a change of clothes. I don't remember. But yeah, I didn't have anything. And so it starts getting cold, and I'm outside, and it's starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, like it's too cold to be out here. Like I'm gonna freeze to death. So once again, I start looking for cars to just. There was an area where people would sell cars, and it was just like this little corner, and people would put their cars there, put a for sale sign on it, and they would just be parked there until they sold. And I always knew that cars would sit there because I'd see the same cars over and over. So I would know that, like, hey, like, it's probably safe to go in that car if it's open. But usually the cars weren't open. Luckily, there was this Volkswagen Golf. It's like 89 Volkswagen Golf. And I opened it, and the doors were open. I was so thankful. Like, I was so happy. Just like, oh my gosh, I can go in this car. And it's not the same as Maine. Like, in Maine, when I went in my dad's car, like, there was no getting warm. But in the desert, like, getting in that car was giving you at least a little bit of comfort, a little bit of warmth, like against the elements. So I go in the little Golf, and I'm still cold. I'm freezing, but it's better than being outside. A heck of a lot better than being outside. But what happens is the inside starts to like steam and fog up. So then it starts to get like real humid in the car, where it starts getting like sticky. So then it starts getting uncomfortable. So then you gotta like open up the door and like air it out, but you don't want to open up the door because then it gets colder. All the heat that you've trapped in there, you're now letting out, but you have to because it's getting so sticky. So I remember just wanting to get through the night, because Palm Springs is hot during the day. So I know that like once that sun comes up and it hits like 8, 9 in the morning, all I gotta do is go out in that sun, and I'm gonna feel great, because the warm sun in Palm Springs feels amazing. So I remember just being like, oh, I cannot wait until the morning, because in the morning it's gonna warm up and I'm gonna be so cozy, and I'll just go to a park bench, or I'll just go to the park and just lay on the grass because I'll just be so warm. And I remember just thinking like being warm is just the best thing. I just can't wait to get warm. So I make it through the night. I didn't sleep, maybe like dozed off for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but it was just so uncomfortable. And I did this to myself. Like, nobody did this to me. This is my gambling, my addiction, and my addiction took me to some very dark places, to the depths of prison, to solitary confinement in prison. But it all started with the whole casino, and just being addicted to the casino, relying on beer to keep myself going, using beer as like a way to like recharge my batteries. Eventually it progressed to much worse. You guys know because you've seen my other stories. But hey, thanks for tuning in to Reselling Stories. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys are liking the videos. I'm doing this video just off the top of my dome, and we're about to move into to part 3. Part 1 was sleeping in the car in Maine. Part 2 was the Volkswagen Golf in the desert. And here we are. We're about to move on to part 3. So part 3 moves into my much darker addiction, where I'm in Maine. The weather, I remember, so winter, spring, summer, fall. So summer's over and it's fall, but we're getting towards like the end of fall, where it's starting to get pretty cold. Not cold to like where there's snow on the ground, but we're getting there. Summer's over and we're bracing for a cold winter. So once again, I'm out and about. I don't remember my living situation at this point. I remember just being homeless, not having anywhere to go, again, not having any money, not having a dime, just being so tired and so strung out. I need to crash, and I resort back to my old ways, where I just start checking to see if cars are open, to see if I can just go in and just sleep for a minute. I never like to do it with like nice cars, or like where it was like somebody's, like the car in the parking lot, the Volkswagen Golf that they're selling, and nobody cares about that car. So I didn't feel bad about that. My dad's car was my dad's car. I never wanted to feel like I was doing a crime. I always wanted to feel like this is like an emergency situation. But I would never like want to just go in somebody's vehicle that they drive around every day. I don't feel comfortable with that. I'd rather just be a little bit more creative. And so this is what I did. I didn't want to open up no car doors. So I saw this excavator, big excavator, okay? There was a construction site going on in Maine, and there was these big puddles and mud, and it had rained a couple days before, and so there's like boards. You gotta walk on the boards so you don't like step in the puddles. And a puddle can be dangerous. You step in that puddle and you're homeless and your socks get wet, dude, what are you gonna do? You're gonna you can't take your shoes and socks off because you'll freeze to death. So you gotta just kind of like keep them on. So I had to be very careful not to get my feet wet. It can be very, very dangerous when you're homeless. So I see this excavator, and it's so big, you gotta like climb up in it. So I'm just like, and I don't know anything about excavators. I don't know how to like get in this thing. So I'm just like climbing up the tires, and I go, and I'm just praying that this thing is open. Because where it was at was like, because Portland's a city, man. It's lit up. There's, it's a big urban city. Well, this was a construction site. And this is one of the things I did. I would go to construction sites in Portland. A lot of times they would leave space heaters because they'd be working on the walls, and they would leave the space heaters going all night because they would have to, the rooms that they were working on would have to stay at a certain temperature for the paint or the drywall. I don't know, but space heaters were very common. We used to find them all the time, and it was awesome because sometimes we would take them, but sometimes we'd just go in there and just be in the warm room with them. So I go up in this excavator, and it's open. I am so thankful because it's got like these big, thick windows, and it's got a thick door. So I know that I can go in there and just slam that door shut. And it's so small in the excavator that I know that my body heat is probably going to warm up that cabin pretty quick. So I was excited about that. And this was a time where I did have winter jackets. I was prepared for the cold at this point. Not fully prepared, but I did have sweatshirts. I did have a winter jacket. I did have a hat. I was still, it's not going to keep you warm out on the streets, but like in a confined space, like I can make it work. So that's what I did. I go in the excavator, and it starts warming up fast. I'm so happy because I got a place. You couldn't really lean the seat back. It was kind of like you just had to stay like this, but I didn't really care. I was just happy to just be in a place where I could just sit and just take a cat nap and just, so I'm there, and I'm just like, keep in mind, this is when I had already picked up a heroin habit, heroin, fentanyl. So, and I didn't have any drugs. I didn't have any, I'd saved no rinses, I had no cottons, I had no dope, I had no money. I just knew that the next day I was gonna have to figure something out, and yeah, so, or you know what? I take that back. I may have actually saved the rinse. I think maybe I had a tiny bit of dope. Yeah, I think I did. Oh yeah, I did. I did have a tiny bit of dope, but I didn't have any needles, and I didn't have any utensils to do it, and I had to wait until the morning to find a needle and do it. It wasn't much. It was just enough to recharge my batteries and get me going for the day. A lot of times that's what I would do. I would save, because I was very bad at saving dope. Because you get so high, what happens is you get high, and you're so high that you feel so good that you do more dope, and you feel so good. You're like, oh, I'm going to just keep getting high and keep partying with myself. Then you do more dope, and then you're running out, and you're like, well, I'll just figure something out tomorrow, and I'll just get more dope. So then you do all your dope, and you feel great. And then what happens is the dope starts wearing off, little by little. A little bit, you're still pretty high, but you're like, oh, I can feel it, it's wearing off. Then it wears off a little bit more to where you're at soberness, where you're not sick, but you're not high anymore either. And you're like, oh, I know that I'm feeling normal right now. I hope it doesn't wear off anymore. And then boom, then you get down to another point where you start getting the sniffles and you start feeling like you have a cold, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little sick. You start getting the chills. The dope is still fully in your system. Now, when you're a junkie, you don't realize this, but after, when you reflect, you know what's going on. So the dope is still fully in your system. You're not sick, but you don't have any more dope to keep you on that cloud nine, that nice high that you had going on. So then you get the sniffles, okay? And then a few more hours pass. And then you start getting cold, where you're like, okay, I need to be around a heater. I need to be around a blanket. I need some tissue to blow my nose. I need to take a hot shower because I'm starting to get there. But that's still not it. And then a few more hours goes by. Or what usually happens is you end up getting sleep. I wasn't sleeping. I'm kind of veering off the subject. But what happens is that in a normal situation, you'd be tired and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna fall asleep. So then you fall asleep and you get 6 hours of sleep. And then it hits you. You wake up in the morning, you go and you take a piss, and you're walking to the bathroom, and every bone in your body is like aching. And then you take a piss, and you are shaking. And you don't have any dope. And you know that the only thing that's going to help you is getting some dope right now. People telling you get sober, get help. No. There's no, you don't talk about that right now. There's none of that. The only thing that's going to help you to get through the day is getting a shot. That's what you have to get. You have to. There's no getting around it. And this is why being a drug addict, being a heroin fentanyl addict is so dangerous, because you get so sick to where robbing a bank to get yourself to feel better, even though you might go to jail for 3 or 4 years, you're so sick and you're so severely ill that you just want to feel better, that maybe robbing a bank isn't so bad. And that's what happens to a lot of people. It happened to me. I didn't get caught for some certain things, but let me tell you, a lot of people were in prison because they were sick and they had to do something crazy. So then what happens is you start getting really sick, and you did your last shot at about 1 in the morning. You slept. Now here we are, 10 in the morning. By noontime, you're in full-blown withdrawal, especially with fentanyl, because it wears off quick. And you start doing everything you can do, and you're asking people, hey, can you help me out? Nobody wants to help you out. You call family members, hey, can you send me $20? Hey, I sent you $20 yesterday. I've been sending you $20. What do you keep needing $20 for? You just hang up on them because you can't explain yourself. You're just so sick. But you can't tell them you're sick, because then you can explain why you're sick. But you're just so sick just from being a junkie. And that's the way it goes. But I'm going to go back. So I'm in the excavator, and I'm not doing any dope. A few hours had went by. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm getting the sniffles, but I'm still fully well. I'm not sick. And but my body heat warms up this cabin of this excavator. It was so small. It was like this tiny little cabin. And the windows start dripping water, because that's how much because it's so cold outside, it's so warm on the inside, it's creating all the condensation. So what happens is I start getting drenched. My sweatshirt on the inside, like, I'm soaked. So like I gotta get out and out of the excavator and dry off. And I get out and I'm soaked. It's like I went into a pool. So my sweatshirt's completely soaked. My jacket is dry, but I'm wet on the inside, and it's the most uncomfortable feeling, just being wet from sweat, and knowing you just got a tiny bit of dope left. It was so bad. So I end up going back in the excavator, and when you start getting dope sick, you can't really move. And when you don't got nowhere to go, I didn't even have any cigarettes. no cigarettes, nothing. I had nothing, no money. I don't even think I had $1. Nowhere to go, no family, no cell phone. Maybe, wait, did I have a cell phone? I might have had, if I did have a cell phone, I didn't have a charger. But yeah, it was so bad. So I go back in the excavator, and I sit there as long as I can. I knew that it was about 4 in the morning, and I knew that construction workers usually start getting there, early. Well, I kind of like doze off, and I wake up. It's still like 4 something in the morning, and I see guys. They got their lunch pails, and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's here. They're all working, and I'm just like, it's still dark. They don't see me in the excavator, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I crawl out of this excavator, like everybody's gonna see me. But more people are starting to like come to work, so it's like, okay, I either leave the excavator now and everybody sees me, or I crutch down and hide, and then I leave in an hour when there's 100 more people there. So I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna do anything, I need to leave now, because this is getting bad. Everybody's here. Everybody was at work. So I get out of the excavator, and people see me. I crawl down, and I don't care. At this, I don't care. I'm just like, the only thing I'm worried about is them calling the cops, like saying that like I was trying to steal the excavator or something, because I did have warrants at this time. That was I wasn't worried about them seeing me in the excavator. I was just worried about them calling the cops, saying like I'm a thief or something, trying to steal their tools or something. Anyways, I ended up leaving. They didn't call the cops, but yeah, I ended up leaving. I don't even remember what happened that day. It was such a blur. But yeah, that's the story of sleeping in cars, man. I could do a whole nother video. I could probably make more. I could make like 10 more videos about sleeping in cars. But those were just the 3 that came to my head. But it all stemmed from addiction. It was the drinking, then the gambling, and then the heroin, and it just takes you on a deep, dark ride. So if you're at stage 1 right now, or if you're at stage 0, I strongly suggest just develop a relationship with God before it gets like bad. Like just reach out to God, and that's something I neglected. Think about hurting people. When you're doing the wrong thing, you affect and you hurt a lot of people, and it's like collateral damage. You don't see that you're doing it until it's like too late. Until then, everybody disowns you. Nobody wants to talk to you anymore. To this day, nobody wants to talk to me because I've damaged so many relationships. So just think about that. Think about all the relationships that you can damage. Before you think about yourself and getting high, think about the damage that you're going to do with the relationships. Yeah, so that's the story for today. Reselling stories, hugs, not drugs. Palabra.